Hi, we are going to see the solution of this exercise, choosing among computers to evaluating alternatives. So this exercise is very similar to the exercise we did in class. So we have here a consumer who is evaluating different brands of a given category. And these brands have these attributes: screen size, space, operating system, and apps available. So there can be, for example, smartphones. And the importance weight of each of the attributes is this. So the most important attribute is price in this case. Remember that when these are the scores of each of the brands on each of the attributes. And remember that for price, a higher score means a lower price. Then the first question is, what will be the alternative, the brand chosen if maximizing utility? So what we are going to do is to compute the utility for each of the brands, which is here. This will be the utility for brand A, which is the product of the score of the first attribute times the weight of the attribute, and we do this for all the attributes, and then we get a utility of 5, 1. For brand B, the utility would be 4, 4, and for brand C, it would be 5, 7. So the consumer would select brand C because it has the highest utility. Okay, what can the brand with the lowest utility increase or can do to increase the likelihood to be chosen? So the brand with the lowest utility is brand B, here. So what can this brand do? So this brand can do mainly 3 different things. One is change the scores. That would be to change the perceptions of customers of the attributes of this brand. For example, the brand might try to make consumers perceive that memory, for example, is higher than it is actually perceived. This would be called psychological repositioning. Another thing the brand can do is to actually change the memory, increase the memory through an engineering process. And this is called real depositioning. And a third thing that the brand can do is to worsen the perception on competitive scores. And this would be called competitive depositioning. That will be done through communication mainly. The second general thing the brand can do is to change the weights of the attributes. That would be like changing the preferences of the consumer. For example, the brand can change one of the attributes. But remember, this can be done for a single consumer in a store, for example, that it will be very, very difficult to do for the market unless you are a very big company, such as, for example, Apple. Another thing the brand can do is to add a new attribute in which the brand has a higher score. That would be like changing also the preferences, also difficult to do for all the market. And a third general thing the brand can do is to target other segments whose preferences better match the brand B attributes scores. Okay, and the third question is this. So imagine that the brand, that the consumer goes to the store and then searches in the internet and finds like different opinions about brand C. For example, 2/3 of the opinions say that the availability of apps in brand C is not 7 but 3, and 1/3 of the opinions say it's 7 actually. So how this will change the choice? So probably the consumer will have a new perception, so a new score on the brand C apps availability, And this new score will be the product of the new score, which is 3 per 2/3 of the consumers, plus the score for the 1/3 of the consumers. So it will be like 433. And then the new utility of brand C would be different, okay? It will be, I mean, for the attribute of apps availability, it will be 0.2, which is the weight of the attribute, times the new score 433. But still, brand C has the highest utility, so it would be chosen